Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Warhammer 40k Codex roadmap. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so by now I'm sure everybody has heard that there is a Saturday preview August 17th, and Games Workshop is going to be showing off Operation Hivestorm. And based on the short little preview videos Games Workshop has shown off, it definitely looks like Kill Team is going to be getting a new box set, possibly a new edition. And it appears it's going to be the Astra Militarum Elysian Drop Troopers or something along those lines against the Tau Auxiliary Vespid Stingwings. So very cool, two awesome kits that will be like redone and brought back in plastic. A new Kill Team expansion or potentially new edition. Definitely excited to see that. But the thing that's got me excited way more than any Kill Team releases is the new 40k roadmap. So let's take a look. So the potato cam has struck once again, and Games Workshop can't keep any secrets, so someone has officially leaked the Codex roadmap for 10th edition, the brand new one coming up, so we see what the codexes are for autumn, winter, and spring. So we made some predictions not too long ago as to what was likely coming, took a look at all of the factions that still haven't gotten a codex yet, and now we have the unofficial confirmation. So starting off first, we have Codex Supplement Blood Angels, which I think was pretty obvious to everyone. So this is for autumn 2024. And obviously Games Workshop has shown off a ton of new Blood Angel stuff. We see a new box set coming out, a bunch of new characters. And it was definitely a little bit on the strange side that Games Workshop hadn't released the new Codex roadmap after showing off the redacted Codex, the final one of the last Codex roadmap, as the Imperial Agents. And then they were already showing off the Blood Angels. So it seems very likely they were just holding off until their big reveal show this Saturday to release the roadmap. But it looks like they waited just a little bit too long because it has officially made it to the internet. So Codex Blood Angels is next. And then following that is going to be one of our predictions, Thousand Suns. So definitely going to be awesome to see Thousand Suns coming out. They've been extremely good this edition. Their rules are pretty well balanced considering it's just a supplement. They did recently get some nerfs, but rather than Games Workshop raising the cost, like the points of the actual models in game terms, they sort of dialed back some of the abilities a little bit and made them a little less powerful. But still very viable, as we definitely still see Thousand Suns doing extremely well in tournament play. So very likely they're going to get at least like 3 or 4 new detachments on top of a revision to their existing detachment. This should be really cool, as it will definitely give some different options to how to play the army. Potentially something like a Zangor themed detachment alongside their existing detachment, which is really good. And then no doubt some other cool stuff as well. We know that every faction's been getting like bare minimum at least like 1 new character unit. So we should see something new coming out for the Thousand Suns. Super excited for that one. And they are a very popular faction. So that's going to be one more for Chaos. And then moving on into winter. We have a pretty nice reveal here for winter. We have 5 new books coming out in the winter months. So first is going to be Codex Astra Militarum. I know this one's going to get a lot of people excited, as typically Astra Militarum has been towards the end of the edition. So they've had some of the least opportunities to actually enjoy their full codex. But not this time. So this should be really good for Astra Militarum, as their current detachment is not bad, but doesn't really give them like a lot of different ways to play the army. And while Games Workshop has toyed around with like the lethal hits ability, we've seen quite a few nerfs to like indirect fire. So I think it's going to be really nice to have some different opportunities to play the army a different way. I would expect something that gives them a little bit more like mobility, something that leans in on like a tank company or something along those lines. And probably a couple other detachments as well. They did get quite a few new kits recently, so hopefully we'll see an expansion on that range. Potentially something like Catechins coming to the range. So that could definitely be cool, definitely be exciting for Astra Militarum guard players out there. And then we've got the Leagues of Votann. So again, that's going to be awesome. Leagues of Votann currently doing well in this edition. Not particularly amazing, as they do still have like some limitations to the range. But with the release of the Jaegers having like that infiltration ability, that definitely fills like a big hole in their existing range and allows them now to like move block out some of their opponents, give them a little bit more diversity in how the army is played, as they rely heavily on a lot of scouting units to get where they need to be, because their slower movement means once the game starts, it's a little more difficult to get where they want to be. But with the combination of infiltrators to block out your opponent from screening you, opening up the battlefield for your scouting units to get where they want to be, and then potentially the addition of either a new character or a unit when the actual book hits, as well as some more detachments. This could be really cool and really exciting. I'm not sure what they're going to be bringing to the actual Leagues of Votann range, what the release will be. And their current detachment is actually pretty good because it leans in on their army rule. getting to start with a bunch of extra grudge tokens on multiple units means they're going to get the full buffs of +1 to hit and +1 to wound against multiple targets at the start of the game. And then killing those targets early is going to give them a nice command point buff as well. So definitely excited to see what kind of like abilities the new detachments have to offer. Maybe we'll see something that's geared out more towards like the Terminator equivalent like heavy list, something that leans in on like the bikes or scouting units. But overall, I'm just really excited to see what Votann gets additionally, as we've seen quite a few like kill team releases over the years since their initial like big box launch and reintroduction into like the 40k universe. But the more units that they get, the more versatility that's brought into the range, just the more viable it'll be for them to play, not only in like a single type of detachment or way of play that seems to be successful, but giving like more options to the way that you can play your space dwarves. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. Alright, and then next we have the Death Guard coming in winter. So another super exciting release right here. Death Guard once again have been doing extremely well this edition. Very strong list. There's definitely a little bit of a skill element to Death Guard because once again they're a slower moving army, but we've seen quite a bit of success throughout the edition. Obviously any army that has a Primarch in it, specifically the Chaos armies, have some potential not only for like super cool factor, but also to be strong on the competitive scene. The cool army buffs and durability of the Death Guard are definitely awesome and make their detachment strong. But once again, having something like a Terminator heavy detachment, maybe something that leans in on like the zombie horde of the Poxwalkers or something along those lines. Definitely going to be awesome for Death Guard players out there. Again, just giving you different ways to play your army, some tweaks to different rules, additional stratagems, enhancements, and no doubt another character or unit as well. And then from there we have the Knights coming out. So it was very obvious that they were likely going to release the Knights together, as they tend to do this throughout all the previous editions. Currently the actual data cards come in a single pack with both the Imperial and Chaos Knights. So once again, we see them coming out in tandem. So we have the Imperial and Chaos Knights coming out. And with the release of the Imperial Agents coming out and the ability to take some of those units into a Imperial army, that's definitely going to help out the Knights players with some cool new assassin rules, which we often see accompanying the Knights. Also some cheap chaff units to potentially stay on like the back lines or kind of fill in the gaps for them. And realistically, if Games Workshop keeps up with the theme of always releasing at least like one model or character with each book, that could be absolutely awesome, because we could see a brand new Imperial Knight coming out. Now, more likely than not, we'll see a dual kit that could be used in Imperial and Chaos Knights, similar to what we've seen with like some of the more standard Knights. So that could be awesome, as it could fill in the gap with maybe another big stompy walker, or maybe even like another Armiger style like smaller kit, or possibly something completely different. The current Imperial Knights army rule is pretty cool, goes along nicely with their actual detachment rules. They've got some nice stratagems, enhancements, and overall they're definitely a fun army to play. One of my favorite armies to take to tournaments, as you got less models to worry about, less rules to remember, and typically the games go a little bit quicker. So having a couple extra detachments along with some new stratagems, some different ways to play your army could definitely be fun. And a lot of the same stuff goes for Chaos. Now, obviously, they don't have the ability to take in the Imperial Agents, but currently they can do something similar with Demons, and often we'll see like the addition of Nurglings or something else along those lines allied into a Chaos Knights list. Their current detachment is really good. They rely heavily on like leadership and battle shock tests to sort of debuff their opponent's army and then buff themselves against those units. Their stratagems are extremely good. The ability to walk through walls is very, very strong. They have some nice enhancements. And regardless of whether people think that like leadership based tests or like battle shock is powerful, I have had a ton of games throughout the edition where a battle shocked unit has been the difference between a 5 or 10 point swing, and in many cases the difference between winning or losing a game. The Chaos Knight Armigers are extremely good. The big knights are fun and chunky, so any additions to the Chaos Knights definitely just go along the lines of making them even more viable as a competitive list, or continue to expand out the actual range and the way that you play those knights in a different way to make them even more fun. So super excited to see the Knights getting their Codex releases in winter. And then moving on from there, we have spring and our last 3 Codex reveals. So we see Eldari first, then Grey Knights, and World Eaters. So Eldari started off this edition with a bang. Their actual army rule was extremely powerful. Anytime you can get around rolling a dice and just use some fixed dice to guarantee success in a certain situation, that can be extremely powerful. And while we've seen quite a few nerfs to them over time, they are still very good, still very quick, and able to do lots of like actions, get places they need to be, and they're still performing well in the meta. And over the last couple of years, we've seen quite a few of the Aspect Warrior kits getting redone, still a few of the Phoenix Lords and Aspect kits waiting in the winds to get redone as well. And I think it's very likely that we see something like Warp Spiders or Swooping Hawks coming out with new kits. Probably get a Phoenix Lord or two to go along with them as well. And then also the expansion of like the various detachments will be nice, as you'll probably get something that leans in more towards like the different craft worlds of Eldari, which will be super awesome because not only will you be playing like more of a thematic army, but you'll have some like nice thematic rules to go along with it. So probably going to see something that leans in on the Aspect Warriors. Very likely that we see some like bike rules or like a more mobile force and a couple other cool detachments as well. And then next we see the Grey Knights. So Grey Knights have been waiting for a range refresh for quite some time. The models still look cool, but are quite dated and like undersized relative to the new Primaris stuff and a lot of the new Chaos stuff as well. And because there's not very many kits in the actual Grey Knights range, most of those kits are dual purpose kits, it's very, very likely that Games Workshop gives the Grey Knights a complete range refresh, as they've really only got to do like 4 or 5 kits to do so. Maybe the addition of a new character, but more likely than not, we see brand new Terminators, new infantry, and then potentially even a brand new Dread Knight kit as well. And once again, Grey Knight's doing pretty good in the meta overall. Nice balance, definitely super strong against certain lists, but they have a tough time against others. So not only will the new addition of some kits to the range be nice and sort of revitalize the faction, but also the addition of some more like special rules, some more options, how you can play the army through like different detachment rules, enhancements, and stratagems. The potential for what's to come for Grey Knights is limitless, but I know I personally am super excited for the new kits. And last but not least from the Codex roadmap, we have the World Eaters. So once again, World Eaters doing extremely well this edition, a very, very popular faction. Another one of the Chaos factions that has their Primarchs. We see a lot of Angron on the table. We see also a lot of lists that don't use Angron and just lean in heavy on like mass amounts of infantry. They're very fast, they're very powerful. And while they are doing well in the meta and the actual range is absolutely awesome, I love the models, I love the style of play, I think World Eaters will be one of the factions that benefits the most from their Codex. Because honestly, the data sheets that they have are extremely good, but they're definitely lacking a little bit in like the detachment rules, stratagems, and enhancements. So if World Eaters are already good and then they get their book, I think it's very likely that we see some awesome new detachments. They have a very, very one-dimensional style of play. Almost no shooting, but they're just extremely fast, extremely in your face. And when they get there, it's not going to be a good day. But by far their biggest limiting factor is their very like one-dimensional style of play. And I really think the addition of a couple extra detachments with some nice, cool detachment rules that lean in specifically on taking a bunch of like the demon units, like the 8-bound, which are extremely powerful, or maybe one that's more of a horde list. Khorne Berserkers get a bunch of extra benefits. Could really open up the actual like Codex and the way of playing the army. But most importantly, I'd love to see them get like some defensive strats against shooting, or potentially even a new detachment rule that gives them some extra durability so they can get from their end of the table into yours with even more of their models still on the board. So super excited for the new roadmap. This is definitely awesome and right in line with what we're kind of expecting. A lot of power armor coming here. And by the time we get through spring of 2025, this is going to be the majority of the codexes revealed. Now, it is worth note that we don't see the Emperor's Children in this list, so it does seem very likely at this point in time that I was right. Emperor's Children is probably going to be the last codex revealed this edition. And while people are excited to get the Emperor's Children codex, it makes the most sense as they're probably going to get a complete new range refresh, a bunch of new kits to go along with the book, and that's going to be awesome. I'm super excited for Emperor's Children. I'm definitely excited for the new roadmap and looking forward to a lot of these different codexes. Now that Deathwatch as an army is no longer a viable option, I'm definitely on the fence as to whether I'm going to play my Deathwatch as generic Space Marines or lean in on one of my other factions. And while I do have a ton of Warhammer 40,000 armies, I'm still up in the air as to which direction I'm going to go. So let me know which of these new codexes you're most excited about. Is there something that's got you particularly happy or something missing that's got you particularly sad? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and if there's one thing that doesn't surprise me about this roadmap, it's that it leaked out before Games Workshop wanted it to. And I'm out of here.